Every life begins the same way, with a breath, a cry, a moment. But what if that moment was not the beginning, only the continuation of a decision already made? What if your joys, your suffering, your triumphs and failures, even your final breath, were chosen long before you ever opened your eyes? In ancient Greece, people believed that even the gods were not free, that above Olympus, beyond thunder and lightning, there existed something older and far more powerful. Three sisters, silent, unseen, unquestionable. They did not rule the world. They wrote it. They were the Moirae, the Fates, the ones who controlled this world. Welcome to this exciting new episode of the channel, The Eternal Odyssey, where we explore the stories of myths and fantasies. Chapter 1, The Power Above Gods. Before the Olympian gods built their shining palaces in the sky, before Zeus hurled lightning and Poseidon ruled the seas, the Greeks believed that fate already existed. It was not created by the gods. It did not answer to them. Fate was a law of the universe, woven into the fabric of reality itself, and the Moirae were its keepers. To mortals, they were terrifying. To gods, they were unavoidable. No temple could appease them. No sacrifice could soften them. They did not negotiate. They did not explain. They simply decided. Every war, every empire, every rise and collapse followed patterns already spun by their hands. When cities burned and heroes fell, it was not chaos, it was completion. The Moirae were said to dwell at the edge of existence, where time itself seemed to slow. Some myths place them in the underworld beside Hades, others near the throne of Zeus, reminding him that even kings of gods ruled on borrowed authority. Their presence was quiet, but absolute. When a prophecy was spoken, it was not the gods predicting the future. It was fate revealing itself. Oracles were feared because they echoed the decisions already woven by the sisters. And no matter how fiercely gods intervened in human affairs, they could only act within the boundaries the Moirae allowed. Greek myths are filled with stories of divine interference, gods choosing sides in wars, blessing kings, cursing heroes, shaping civilizations. Yet behind every divine action stood an invisible limit. Achilles could be made nearly invincible, but not immortal. Troy could stand for years, but not forever. Empires rose believing they were favored by the gods, only to fall when their allotted time ended. The Moirae were the unseen constant, the force that ensured every story had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Chapter 2, Clotho, the Spinner. The first of the sisters was Clotho, the Spinner. She was the youngest, yet without her, nothing began. At the moment of birth, when a newborn first entered the world, Clotho's spindle turned. From her fingers emerged the thread of life, delicate yet unbreakable, invisible yet absolute. This thread contained not just time, but potential. It held every path a life might take, every choice that could be made, every consequence that would follow. Clotho did not grant blessings. She did not promise happiness. She simply ensured existence. In myth, even gods were subject to her work. When a god was born into the cosmos, Clotho spun their thread as she did for mortals. This was why gods could suffer, could be wounded, could lose those they loved. Their power was vast, but their existence was still bound to fate. Clotho represented creation without intention, beginning without meaning. Life did not begin because it was deserved. It began because fate allowed it to begin. The Greeks understood this deeply. Birth was not seen as a guarantee of greatness. It was merely an entry into a story already unfolding. A king's child and a peasant's child received the same gift from Clotho, a thread. What that thread would become was not decided at birth. That responsibility belonged to the second sister, and she was far less forgiving. Chapter 3, Lachesis, the Measurer. Lachesis was the measurer, the one who determined the course of a life. Her name came from the idea of casting lots, of receiving what chance assigned. She measured the thread spun by Clotho, deciding how long it would be and what shape it would take, long or short, smooth or tangled, filled with honor or marked by suffering. To the Greeks, this explained the randomness of existence, why the virtuous sometimes suffered while the wicked prospered, why heroes fell young and tyrants lived long enough to see generations bow before them. Lachesis was indifferent. She did not judge character. She did not reward morality. Her decisions reflected a universe unconcerned with fairness, and this terrified both mortals and gods. For mortals, it meant that effort did not guarantee reward. For gods, it meant that power did not guarantee control. Zeus could influence outcomes, but he could not extend a life beyond its measured length. Apollo could grant healing, but not immortality. Athena could offer wisdom, but not escape from destiny. Many myths revolve around attempts to outwit Lachesis. Kings consulted oracles to avoid foretold disasters. Heroes sought divine aid to change their fates. Parents prayed for their children to be spared. Sometimes the gods intervened, delaying events or altering circumstances. But the outcome remained unchanged. The path could twist, but it always led to the same end. In trying to escape fate, characters often fulfilled it. The Greeks saw this not as irony, but as inevitability. Lachesis had measured the thread, and no force could stretch it further. Chapter 4, Atropos, the Unturning. The final sister was Atropos, the Unturning. She carried the shears, and with a single cut, she ended a life. Atropos represented the most feared truth of all, that death was final. Her name meant that once something was decided, it could not be reversed. When she cut the thread, there was no appeal, no resurrection, no second chance. Even the gods stepped aside when Atropos approached. In myth, gods often knew when a death was coming. They mourned in advance. They raged. They interfered in small ways, granting final moments of glory or easing suffering. But they never stopped the cut. When Achilles fell on the battlefield, when Hector met his end before Troy, when great kings breathed their last, it was Atropos who closed the story, not as punishment, but as completion. To the Greeks, death was not the enemy of life. It was its boundary. Without Atropos, existence would have no meaning, no urgency, no weight. The Moirae together formed a complete vision of reality, beginning, duration, and end. This belief shaped Greek culture, philosophy, and tragedy. It taught acceptance without passivity, courage without illusion. You could not escape fate, but you could face it with dignity. Heroes were admired not because they survived, but because they acted nobly within the limits imposed upon them. Across history, this idea echoed. Empires believed themselves eternal until they collapsed. Rulers believed themselves chosen until they fell. Wars were fought believing the gods favored one side, only for fate to prove otherwise. The Moirae stood behind it all, indifferent to ambition, unmoved by prayer. They did not hate humanity. They did not love it either. They simply ensured that every story reached its conclusion. In the end, the Moirae remind us of something deeply human. That life is fragile. That time is limited. That control is partial at best. And yet, within those limits, meaning is born. We may not choose the length of our thread, but we choose how it is woven. We choose courage or fear, kindness or cruelty, purpose or regret. Fate sets the stage, but we still play our part. If this story made you pause, if it made you wonder about destiny, time, and the unseen forces shaping our lives, then let this thread continue. Like this video if it resonated with you. Share it with someone who loves mythology and mystery. And subscribe to the channel for more cinematic journeys into ancient worlds, forgotten gods, and timeless truths. Because somewhere, even now, the thread is still spinning. Thank you